If you're over 60, there's a silent process happening inside your body right now, and most people never find out until it's serious. Your kidneys filter about 50 gallons of blood every single day, and according to the CDC, more than 1 in 3 American adults over 65 already has some stage of chronic kidney disease, and most of them don't even know it. Here's the part that should really grab your attention. A landmark study published in the Clinical Journal of the American Society of Nephrology tracked thousands of adults and found that certain everyday vegetables sitting in your kitchen right now could either be quietly protecting your kidney function or slowly straining it with every bite. Some of the healthy vegetables you've been eating for years might actually be working against you. And the vegetable that ranks number 1 on our list today isn't the one you'd expect. Researchers found it lowered inflammatory markers linked to kidney decline in ways that shocked even the scientists running the trial. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to put on your plate tonight and what to push to the side. Number 3. Kohlrabi. Let's start with the one almost nobody in the United States has ever cooked with, kohlrabi. It looks a little strange, a pale green or purple bulb with leafy stalks shooting out the top, and most grocery shoppers walk right past it without a clue what to do with it. That's a real shame, because kohlrabi belongs to the same cruciferous vegetable family as broccoli and cabbage, and it happens to be one of the lowest potassium vegetables you can find in that entire family. A single cup of raw kohlrabi contains only around 350 milligrams of potassium, noticeably lower than many other root and bulb vegetables, which matters enormously once you're over 60, because aging kidneys gradually lose some of their ability to clear excess potassium and phosphorus from the bloodstream efficiently. When those minerals build up instead of getting filtered out properly, it can lead to irregular heart rhythms and weakened bones over time. Kohlrabi also delivers a strong dose of vitamin C, close to 140% of your daily recommended intake in just 1 cup, along with glucosinolates, the same class of protective plant compounds found in broccoli and cabbage that get converted into isothiocyanates during digestion. Research on cruciferous vegetables published in the journal Nutrients has linked higher intake of these compounds to reduced oxidative stress markers, and oxidative stress is essentially cellular wear and tear caused by unstable molecules called free radicals. Damage your kidneys are especially exposed to since they filter your entire blood supply many times a day. Kohlrabi is also unusually high in fiber for a bulb vegetable, and that fiber supports a healthy gut microbiome, which growing research connects to lower levels of certain toxins the kidneys would otherwise need to filter out themselves. As for how to actually eat it, kohlrabi has a mild flavor somewhere between broccoli stems and a crisp apple, and it works well both raw and cooked. Peel off the tough outer skin, then slice it thin for a crunchy raw snack or salad addition, or cube it and roast it at 400 degrees for about 25 minutes until the edges caramelize slightly. You can also shred it into a slaw the same way you would cabbage. Aim for about 1 cup a few times a week, and you're giving your kidneys real, measurable support from a vegetable most people have never even tried. That's kohlrabi. But the next vegetable on our list plays an even bigger role in something called kidney-friendly antioxidant defense. Before we continue, if you're finding this helpful, hit subscribe so you don't miss the senior health videos we post every week. Number 2. Red bell peppers. Red bell peppers deserve way more credit than they get. They're sweet, crunchy, and honestly one of the easiest vegetables to add to almost any meal. But the science behind them is what makes them special for kidney health after 60. Red bell peppers are naturally low in potassium compared to other colorful vegetables like tomatoes or avocados, which is a big deal because most kidney-friendly diets, including the well-known DASH and Renal diets recommended by nephrologists, specifically call out low potassium produce as a priority for people managing kidney function. But the real star here is vitamin C. 1 medium red bell pepper contains around 152 milligrams of vitamin C, which is actually more than double what you'd get from an orange. A study published in the American Journal of Kidney Diseases examined the relationship between antioxidant intake and kidney function decline in older adults and found that participants with higher dietary vitamin C intake had a meaningfully slower rate of decline in kidney filtration over several years of follow-up compared to those with lower intake. Vitamin C works as an antioxidant, meaning it helps neutralize those damaging free radical molecules we talked about earlier before they can harm kidney tissue. Red bell peppers also contain a carotenoid called capsanthin, which gives them their vivid red color and has been studied for its anti-inflammatory properties. And chronic low-grade inflammation is one of the quiet drivers behind kidney function decline as we age. To get the most benefit, you actually want to eat red bell peppers raw or lightly cooked, because vitamin C is heat sensitive and breaks down the longer food is cooked. Slice them into strips and eat them raw with a bit of hummus. Throw them into a quick stir fry for just 2 or 3 minutes over high heat, or roast them briefly until just softened, not charred. Avoid boiling them or slow cooking them for long periods, since that's when you lose the most vitamin C. Aim for about 1 medium pepper a day, and you're giving your body a serious antioxidant boost that specifically supports the tissue doing all the filtering work in your kidneys. Now let's move to the vegetable that researchers are calling one of the most protective foods for aging kidneys, and it might already be sitting in your fridge. Number 1. Cabbage. Cabbage is the vegetable that keeps surprising researchers, and it deserves the top spot on this list. It's cheap, it lasts a long time in the fridge, and most people underestimate just how powerful it is. Cabbage is remarkably low in potassium, phosphorus, and sodium, which makes it one of the safest and most versatile vegetables for anyone managing kidney health. But the benefits go far beyond just what it lacks. A study published in the journal Nutrients examined cruciferous vegetable intake, the category that includes cabbage, broccoli, and cauliflower, and found that higher intake was associated with lower levels of inflammatory markers, including C-reactive protein, a substance the liver produces when there's inflammation in the body. And elevated C-reactive protein has been linked in multiple studies to faster kidney function decline in older adults. Cabbage is also loaded with vitamin K and vitamin C, and it contains glucosinolates, natural plant compounds that get converted into isothiocyanates when you chop or chew cabbage. And these compounds have been studied specifically for their ability to help the body process and clear toxins more efficiently, taking some of the workload off the kidneys and liver. One particularly striking finding came from research on fiber intake and kidney health published in the Clinical Journal of the American Society of Nephrology, which found that higher fiber consumption, and cabbage is an excellent fiber source with about 2 grams per cup, was associated with lower levels of inflammation and a reduced risk of mortality in people with chronic kidney disease. Fiber also feeds beneficial bacteria in your gut, and a growing body of research on the gut-kidney connection suggests a healthier gut microbiome may reduce toxins the kidneys would otherwise have to filter out. To get the most out of cabbage, light cooking is actually your best bet. Steaming cabbage for about 5 to 7 minutes preserves most of its vitamin content while making the glucosinolates easier for your body to convert into their beneficial forms. You can also make a simple sautéed cabbage with a touch of olive oil and garlic, or go raw in a crunchy slaw if you tolerate raw vegetables well. Try to include cabbage in your meals 3 or 4 times a week, whether that's a side dish, tossed into a soup, or as the base of a light slaw, and you're giving your kidneys some serious long-term support backed by real research. It's worth pointing out that both green and red cabbage offer these benefits, though red cabbage tends to carry slightly more antioxidant compounds thanks to the pigments that give it its color. So feel free to rotate between the two if you want a little extra variety on your plate throughout the week. Those 3 vegetables are the ones you want to start leaning on more: cabbage, red bell peppers, and kohlrabi, all backed by real research on kidney protection. But knowing what to eat is only half the picture. What you avoid matters just as much, sometimes even more, because a single serving of the wrong vegetable can undo days of good choices. So now let's flip things around and look at two vegetables that seem perfectly healthy on the surface, but are quietly working against your kidneys with every bite. Starting with one almost nobody suspects. Number 2. Swiss chard. Let's start with the one almost nobody thinks to worry about. Swiss chard. It sits in the grocery store next to kale and spinach, and most people either walk right past it or assume it's basically interchangeable with any other leafy green. That assumption can actually work against you after 60. Swiss chard is one of the most concentrated sources of oxalates of any commonly available vegetable, in some analyses containing even more oxalate per serving than spinach, which already has a reputation for being high in the compound. Oxalates are naturally occurring substances found in many plants, and normally your body handles small amounts just fine, passing them out through urine. The problem is that oxalates bind with calcium in the body, and this combination is one of the leading causes of kidney stones, which affect roughly 1 in 11 Americans, according to National Institutes of Health data, with risk climbing significantly after age 60 due to changes in kidney function and hydration status. A study published in the Clinical Journal of the American Society of Nephrology analyzed dietary oxalate intake and found a clear association between high oxalate vegetable consumption and increased risk of kidney stone formation, particularly in people who already had reduced kidney function or a prior history of stones. On top of the oxalate issue, Swiss chard is also unusually high in potassium, often containing more potassium per cooked cup than a serving of spinach, which compounds the risk for anyone whose kidneys are already struggling to clear excess minerals efficiently. This doesn't mean you need to panic if you occasionally eat a small amount, but for people over 60, especially anyone who has ever had a kidney stone or has been told their kidney function is reduced, Swiss chard is one of those vegetables that looks healthy on the surface but carries a hidden risk underneath. If you love the taste, the safer move is to boil it briefly and discard the cooking water, since boiling leaches out a meaningful portion of both the oxalates and the potassium, or pair it with a calcium source like a small amount of yogurt or cheese, since calcium can bind with oxalate in the digestive tract before it ever reaches the kidneys, reducing the amount that gets absorbed. That covers Swiss chard, but there's one more vegetable, and it might be the most surprising entry on this entire list. Number 1. Potatoes. Here's the one that shocks almost everyone: potatoes. Potatoes are a staple in so many households, comfort food, easy to prepare, and most people never think twice about them. But when it comes to kidney health after 60, potatoes deserve the top spot on the avoid list. And the reason comes down to one number: potassium. A single medium potato with the skin on contains around 900 to 950 milligrams of potassium, which is one of the highest amounts found in any commonly eaten vegetable. For context, kidney specialists generally recommend that people managing reduced kidney function keep their total daily potassium intake under 2,000 to 3,000 milligrams, meaning one potato alone can eat up nearly half of that entire daily allowance. As kidney function declines with age, a completely normal part of aging even without diagnosed disease, the kidneys lose some of their ability to filter excess potassium out of the bloodstream efficiently. When potassium builds up in the blood, a condition doctors call hyperkalemia, it can interfere with the electrical signals that control your heartbeat. And in serious cases, this can lead to dangerous heart rhythm problems. Research published in the American Journal of Kidney Diseases found that hyperkalemia was significantly more common among older adults with even mild to moderate kidney function decline, and that dietary potassium intake was one of the most directly modifiable factors influencing blood potassium levels. Potatoes are also high on what's called the glycemic index, meaning they cause a fairly rapid rise in blood sugar after eating, and a study in diabetes care linked poor blood sugar control to accelerated kidney function decline over time, since high blood sugar damages the tiny blood vessels inside the kidneys that are responsible for filtration. Now, this doesn't mean you can never eat a potato again. The preparation method actually matters quite a bit. Peeling a potato and then boiling it in a large volume of water, then discarding that water, can reduce the potassium content by up to 50% according to research on potassium leaching in the Journal of Renal Nutrition, a process sometimes called potassium leaching. Cutting the potato into smaller pieces before boiling increases the surface area and leaches out even more potassium. Avoid baking or microwaving potatoes if you're watching your kidney health, since those methods retain nearly all of the original potassium, and be especially cautious with French fries, mashed potatoes made with the skin, and potato skins served as an appetizer, since those preparations concentrate potassium even further. If you're going to enjoy potatoes, stick to small portions, always double boil them after peeling, and balance them with lower potassium vegetables like cabbage or radishes elsewhere in your meal. Sweet potatoes are often marketed as the healthier swap, but they actually contain similar or even higher potassium levels in some cases. So don't assume that substitution automatically solves the problem without applying the same preparation precautions. So there you have it. The 3 vegetables that real science says can support your kidney health after 60: cabbage, red bell peppers, and kohlrabi. And the 2 that deserve a lot more caution than they usually get: Swiss chard and potatoes. None of this means you need to swing to extremes or panic about foods you've eaten your whole life. Small, consistent changes, like swapping a baked potato for a side of roasted kohlrabi a few nights a week, or adding raw red bell pepper strips to your lunch instead of reaching for something else, add up over months and years in ways that actually show up in your blood work. If you found this helpful, the most important next step is a simple one, and that's talking to your doctor about your actual kidney function numbers. Because everything in this video is general information, and your personal situation, your medications, your other health conditions, all of that matters too. Let us know in the comments which of these vegetables surprised you the most. And if you want more videos like this one breaking down the real science behind everyday food choices for people over 60, make sure you're subscribed, because we've got a lot more coming, including a deeper look at how these same principles apply to fruits, grains, and proteins as we continue building out this kitchen-friendly guide to protecting your kidneys for the years ahead. Now, we want to hear from you. Which of these vegetables were you surprised to see on this list? Share with us your experiences and opinions in the comments below. We love to hear them. Thanks for watching.